Hey, this is Rick with Mike and Rick Outdoors, and today I want to tell you about my, the White River Fly Shop Prestige Complete Fly Outfit. And you can see this here, there's more to it than this. And I want to tell you how I'm getting into fly fishing, and I'm just going to take you step by step through this. And there's going to be a playlist, and it's going to be, and I'll have it up here in the corner here and in the description below, and it's going to be fly fishing for beginners, because I am a beginner. And you might think that, at my age I would have been fishing and fly fishing by now, but I haven't been. So before I get into this and start this journey with you, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted as soon as we put out new videos. All right, there's several things I bought here, but before I tell you about what I bought, I want to explain how I've gotten started, because this really is a journey, and I'd like you guys to follow me on this journey. If you're an experienced fly fisherman, I would love to hear tips from you, because I have a lot to learn. And if you're a beginner, then follow me on this journey, because fly fishing is great, because you get out to some gorgeous rivers, and some people fly fish lakes, but you're out in beautiful areas. I mean, I don't know if there's hardly a place where you fly fish that it's not beautiful. So there's a lot more action to it. There's a lot to fly fishing, and again, I'm at the very beginning of my journey. So let me just tell you a little bit about what I've found so far and how I've done it, and then I'm going to tell you about this complete fly fishing set Prestige from White River. All right, so I have a friend of mine, Mike from MikenRickOutdoors, and he started trout fishing 3 years ago in 2019, and I guess it's about 4 years ago, and because it's 2023 right now, and it's August. And if I didn't tell you already, I'm out here at the Miramonte Reservoir in southwest Colorado, about an hour west of Telluride, maybe 45 minutes, but that is, I think, Lone Cone Mountain right there. I call it the Lonely Mountain for, the Hobbit. If you guys, any of you guys like the Hobbit, that to me is the Lonely Mountain. But it's beautiful out here, and the fishing's really good. There's a lot of big trout in this reservoir. But what I did is, I was learning from Mike, but Mike is a bass fisherman, and his whole life, and so he comes up here in 2019. No, it's 2020. Sorry, it's been 3 years. In 2020, he comes up here and he starts fishing, but he's a bass fisherman, so he starts trout fishing like he's a bass fisherman. And he did a little research, but not near enough. So it's kind of funny, because we were down at Pagosa Springs and we were fishing, and a bass fisherman lipped the bass all the time. Well, he didn't even have a net with him, and he's spin casting, and he is lipping these trout, and all of a sudden his finger's really bloody, and he's like, well, this can't be the way you do it. And it's kind of funny. So there'll be a link here below in the description, and right here in the corner there'll be a link to that video of him lipping trout near Pagosa Springs. So Mike starts spin casting for trout, and spends 2 years doing that. And then he starts doing some research on fly fishing. So last year he got quite a bit of gear for fly fishing. And he went out and he tried it a little bit, not very much. And he was out with Rachel, his daughter, here in Colorado. And she was kicking his butt on fishing. And she was using spin cast reels or spinners. And so he wasn't doing well with his fly fishing, but he's not an experienced fly fisherman. And so they're out there, so he's like, well, forget this. So he goes and gets his spin caster reel, and they start killing it, just catching these trout. So he's like, well, and he gave it up, so he stopped doing it. Well, being a fly fisherman, I mean, you've got to there's a lot to learn, and he didn't spend near enough time doing it. And we were out this year at Cheeseman Canyon near Deckers, Colorado, kind of in between Colorado Springs and Denver, just to the west, in the mountains on the South Platte River. And we were out there, and they were spin casting, and there's a lot of fish in Cheeseman Canyon, but there's so many fishermen out there, there's a lot of pressure on the fish, and they didn't catch a thing. And then all these fly fishermen were catching these trout. And so I told them, I said, are you thinking maybe you should get back into fly fishing? And both of them, well, Rachel's never done it, but Mike's like, yeah, I think I probably should get back into it. Because as a fisherman, there's times when you want to spin cast or bait to fish or fly fish, and you might do only one, but there's reasons to do certain other types of fishing. So I've been learning from watching Mike fish and talking to other fishermen. So I mean, let me tell you about. This might be a little bit of a long video, but I was out at 11 Mile Reservoir near Lake George, Colorado, and Mike and I were out there, and he was spin casting and bait casting, and it was horrible. I mean, the wind was bad. It was in July, and it was just miserable. The weather was really tough. The wind was really high. So Mike spent like 5 days out there fishing. Normally he does a decent amount of research, but we went over to where the general store was on the southeast side of the lake, actually northeast side of the lake. And we were talking to Rick out there, and he was telling us how to fish and stuff. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to fish 11 Mile. So, you're supposed to go out in the morning or evenings, and you're supposed to go out, especially at night on that lake in the summer. And then there's different places, and when the water starts getting warmer out there, you want to go deeper. So Rick was pointing me to these locations where I would do well fishing, and power bait was working really well, and people were catching some really big trout out of that reservoir. So we got skunked on that trip. We were at Spinney Reservoir also, and all the Dream Stream. And there'll be links or videos, links below, then some screenshots up of where we were at. So we were fishing out there all week and just got skunked. So I thought, hey, I'm going to go out there and do it myself. I'm going to follow all the instructions. So I go out there. The next time I go out, it was early morning. I mean, it was dark when we were driving, and I got there, and we were fishing by around 6 a.m. And I was doing everything right, except I may have not been in the perfect place, but I got skunked again. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to go out and go in the evening. So I went out in the evening a week later, and I talked to Rick again, and I went to the exact point where he told me to go. I had the rig set up. It was a Carolina rig, and I was using power bait, plus I was also using worms with, they said marshmallows did really good with the worms, so you want your bait to float. So I'm out there, time of day, everything, location, and I got skunked again. And there were some other people that caught a few fish around me, but then I noticed that when I left, I kind of had it. I don't really like night fishing, and I left about 9:30. Well, a bunch of people that had fished that lake a lot, they were just getting out there at 9 o'clock. They're going to be out there all night long with their lanterns. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So that was the third time we were skunked at 11 Mile Reservoir. And there's definitely some good fishing out there, so don't take that as being a bad place to fish. It's just, every place you fish, you better understand how to fish it, and talk to locals and talk to the people that work the marinas and the stores out there, because they have a wealth of knowledge. So I'm getting to my fly fishing research and what happened. So because I grew up in Oregon and Washington, around all those beautiful rivers and the scenery, and there's some rivers out there, the North Umpqua River near Roseburg, where I grew up, that one, there's sections of the North Umpqua River that are fly fishing only. And it's more action. You're constantly, throwing that line out, and you got to know what the fish are biting. It's much more, to me, an interactive sport. And so I thought, I do not like bait casting or bait fishing. I don't like sitting there for hours and waiting for that tip to move. And then when the water's, it's windy and the water's moving, the waves, that tip's just constantly moving, and trying to figure out when somebody's biting it. It just doesn't work for me. I don't like it. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to try fly fishing. I've never done it in my life. And so I did a little bit of research. I watched a few videos, and we do a lot of stuff with Bass Pro and Cabela's. And so, there's be a link on this, down below so you can go check them out if you'd like. But after doing a little bit of research, I went to Bass Pro in Colorado Springs. And if you know anything about it, and you want to act more like a local, if you're not a local, don't call it Colorado Springs, call it the Springs. And so I went down there to the springs to Bass Pro, and I went to the fly shop. And I've also talked to some people at the fly shop at Cabela's in Lone Tree, Colorado, which is south side of Denver. And so I went to Bass Pro, and I just went in. I was like, I went in early. Nobody was there. I mean, there was one guy there, but I mean that was shopping. But basically, it's really quiet there in the morning. So I went there, and I said, I just asked him. I said, I'm new to this. I've never fly fished. I've never really fished much at all. And so what do? I want to be successful. I don't want to spend a lot of money. What gear do I get? So I had seen this online, this White River Prestige combo outfit, and it's not that it's the best thing you can get for a beginner, but I've seen a lot of people reviewing it, or not so much reviewing it, but it's pretty popular as far as starting out with on fly fishing. So I probably spent an hour in there talking to the guy who was working there in the fly shop, and he pointed this out, and it was $199.99, I think, so $200. And I was like, well, I've already been seeing other people talking about it so for $200, you can basically take this, and everything's in here for you to go out to the river or lake and just start fly fishing. So let me tell you a little bit about this, and that's where I got to this point where I started fly fishing. Well, I haven't even fly fished yet. I have not even been testing or getting experience casting, or with that line, whatever you call it. See, I don't even know all the terminology yet. So this is the first video in the playlist, and I'm telling you, I have opened this, but this is the journey I've been on. So I was in there, and so first of all, he set me up with this, and I'm going to show you a few things that I have. But what came with this combo was, of course, the fly rod. Now, I've already put this fly rod on here, but it comes in, I think, 4 pieces or 3? I think it's 4 pieces. So what happens when you first get it here, and hopefully you can see this well enough, but this reel, for the fly reel, it was not connected. And I was looking at this and going, how do you get this connected? So let me just show you this real fast. I want to show you how this comes with everything that comes with it, but I want to show you how it came to start with. So it has 2 basically little, I don't know, they're not screws, or but they're separate to help tighten this up, and then this piece above it just moves. So you unscrew it, so it came like this. This is the base and where you hold it, right? And then here's the reel. Now, so I was looking at it like, how do you fit this in here? And so a lot of you probably maybe not even know about fly fishing. You might go, well, that's easy, it's obvious. Well, I want to tell you too, this can go right hand or left hand, and there's a way to change it so you can do that. Well, anyway, so the very first thing I want to just show you is everything that comes with this before I go putting this together. So it comes with this bag, and in the bag it has the reel. And one thing that's kind of nice about this, there's the main compartment here, and this is holds the reel right here. There's a main compartment, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 different places in here. I'm not sure how well you can see this. But each one of these sleeves, basically it's what a sleeve in here, and each sleeve then holds part of the fly rod. So because I'm a beginner, I'm thinking that when you have it all, the line in here and your fly, that you should be able to unfold all of this and then put it back in so that you don't have to take your line out. I'm not absolutely positive about that. So again, if you have any comments and advice, leave it below in this, so I can learn and then pass information along as I continue learning. So anyway, here's the base of the rod, and then the next sleeve has the next piece, and then like I said, there's 4, and they fit nicely in there, and they built it this way. So I know this isn't the most expensive set, but it's a way to get started to see if you like it. Why go spend a bunch of money if you're going to find out that you don't like fly fishing? All right, so that combo kit comes with that case. What I do like about this, and it's really easy to see and understand, it goes from bigger to thinner, you know, of course, and it should. But what's great is there are these little white dots on it on both of these. So it's really simple to line up. You don't have to look at the whatever you call them. See, I'm that new. I don't even know what these are called. But you just push it down and you line these two white dots up. And then you go to the next piece. I think this is a 9-foot fly rod. And again, then you line those two white dots up. I mean, I was thinking about calling this fly fishing for dummies as far as the playlist, but you know, we're not dummies, right? So I don't really like that name. But you guys understand, it's fly fishing for beginners. Let's use that instead. So it's a fairly long rod, and it's a White River Prestige. Yeah, it's a 9-foot 5 WT, which I'm thinking 5 weight maybe. It's a 4-piece, and it's graphite technology. So that's what comes with this. Now, let me show you real quick a few other things that come with it before I tell you anything else. The one thing I really like about fly fishing is you don't carry a lot of stuff. I mean, Mike's always got a tackle box, and he's got the vest and things. In fact, when I was out at the 11-mile reservoir, I had the vest and everything. And the very first comment I got from it was, you know, wow, I mean, that's a lot of pockets. But, you know, so it comes with this. Now, I've seen there's a lot of different things, a lot of different gear. And one thing I've seen is there's a backpack that is, you know, like this, but maybe slightly bigger. And it has one strap that goes across, and there's a place to put your fishing net. And I've seen people have the nets, and in fact, this is one I have. It's a net that it clips onto your vest or your fishing vest, and it's magnet, but it hangs down by your leg. I don't like that. Most fly fishermen will put their net in their backpack deal, and it's really small. It's not very big at all, but there's a place to put the net. So what comes with this Prestige set, though, is this little pack, and it's not very big. There's a little place here in the back, I guess, to maybe warm your hands. I'm not sure what this is back here. But then there's a mesh pocket up front, and there's a small pocket. Now in this small pocket, I've got this Float Doctor paste flotation. And when you're using that fly, casting that fly, and you're whipping it back and forth, whatever they call that, and then you want it, one thing you're doing, that's to dry that fly out. If you want to sit it on the top of the water, you're drying that fly out. But you can put this on it also, and it helps that fly to float. Then in this bigger pouch, I've got a few things. Now this is the knot tire. Okay, this did not come with the set. This is something, and I'll have a link in the description below. And when I was doing reviews, when they're tying one line together, they have a flotation line, and then they have whatever. Again, I don't know these names. I'll put it up on the screen. Maybe you can have an image of it. And when you tie these lines together, there's at least one way to do it is use this knot tire. So this I bought separately. Then this piece right here, it's kind of like scissors, but it comes with it. And what else do I have here? So there's a bunch of flies in here that come with it. I want to say there's 10 or 11 flies in it. I've bought some additional ones. I'll go through that here in a second. And then there is this. It says Absolute Trout. What is this anyway? I'm going to put it up on the screen because I do not remember. But this is the piece, and it's more expensive. It's a 7.4 pound 4X. And this goes on to the end of the line that floats. I'm telling you, this really should be fly fishing for dummies, because that's what I am right now. So you need this. This is an extra. That when you buy this combo set, this comes with it. And it's already tied. But I wanted an extra piece in case it broke and I'm out there and I want to keep fishing. And then there is this fishing line. And again, I'm sure it's not called a fishing line. It's a 5.9 pound against absolute strength. It's a 5X. It's 32.8 yards. Now this is less expensive. I want to tell you something real quick. That's everything that comes with this combo set. But since I've got this stuff out, I just want to run through this real fast. So again, this knot tire, important. Grab one of those. But this is more expensive than this. So some people, including Mike, what he does is he just had, I sure wish I remembered the name, but he had the flotation line, and then then this, and this is like 8 foot, 9 foot. It's 9 foot long, but it's expensive. And if this breaks, it costs more money to replace this. So what you do is, well, at least I've been learning so far, is you take this, which I don't remember how much it costs. It'll be on the screen right here. But there's 32 yards of this. So this is going to break, most likely, break before this breaks. So if it breaks, you're replacing something that's less expensive, right? This is just some advice to help you save some money when you're out fishing, because when you're new, you're probably gonna, I am probably gonna break some line and lose flies and all that. So just a little tip there, okay? But these are also extras. So this comes with the combo set, but these are extras. Now I've seen a lot of fly fishermen, besides having this, they will have basically little fingernail clippers in it. It'll be on their vest or clipped somewhere, and that's what they're clipping their line with. So I've seen a lot of that. Let's see, there's something else in here. Oh, yep, there's one other thing that comes with this combo set, and it's this right here. There's Velcro on the back, and it clips here, and I'm thinking this holds your flies. Again, I'm a newbie, so you know, you can learn with me or give me advice. So if I really like fly fishing, then I will upgrade my gear. So that's one thing I kind of want to know. I do want to know is what's the next step. What's great to learn. All right, so on the flies, real quick. There was about 11 that came with this in this box. Now you could pull this box out all the time if you want, or you could have it clipped and have your flies on you. But there's, I don't remember what they call these. They are not bobbers. Fly fishermen don't call these bobbers. It'll be on the screen what they are. And so I was at Bass Pro, and there's these artificial worms here, and those can be good at times. There's this, I guess maybe it's a nymph, and it's a little white fly. And there's just all different kinds, the larger, smaller. And I was looking at some of these, and I was going, these hooks are so small. How in the world do you catch trout on these? Even a little trout, how do you catch them? And I mean, like this one, man, this one right here, you probably can't even see it. It's super small. Do they have a name on these things? What is this called? This is, it's a tail 16 BH pheasant. All right, whatever. Well, so I bought about 6 or so of these. I was, the guy at the Bass Pro Fly Shop was showing me this stuff and telling me things that worked for him. And I think he had retired from the Colorado Parks and Outdoors, or Parks and Recreation. It's probably Parks and Outdoors. And he had retired from that, so he was then working there at Bass Pro in the fly fishing shop. Well, so there's additional things in here. Again, I'm still learning, and what I found out when I was talking to him, and then also the guys at Cabela's in Lone Tree, and that is, well, first of all, if you're interested at all, the Cabela's in Lone Tree has some free courses on fly fishing, and I'm going to be taking both of them, but you have to sign up, and yet, man, there's a waiting list for a month and a half. But there's different things you can check on. Check with your local fly shops. One, go in there and talk to them, ask them questions. And number 2 is they may have some courses. They may be free, they may not be. And so there's just a lot of great information. So that's what came with the combo. But I want to show you one other thing that you need to have, and that is a net. There's all kinds of nets. This one here is the magnetic one. I can take the magnet off and then still probably put it in behind me on the pack. This one is some kind of a rubber kind of net, whatever. I'll have information on the screen, and I'm going to say this completely wrong again. It's on rockall or something like that. But this is easier to get the hook out of. If the hook gets into this, much easier to get the hook out than a regular net. Now, I may be wrong, and if you got advice and you want to correct me on something, feel free to do that. So again, go grab yourself a small trout net. All right, let's talk about one last thing, two last things, but I want to show you how to put this reel on. So I was looking at this and I was like, well, does this piece right here go all the way up or down, or how does this work? And I had to go do a little YouTube. Well, there's a little notch right in here, and then there's also, I don't know if there's a notch on the bottom. I think there is. Well, anyway, so depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed, and now I'm going to get confused. So I think I have mine where I reel on the left. Is that right? Yeah. So you hold that line on my left, and I'm casting with the right. And then when you catch something, then you're letting it play, and you're pulling the line in, and then you're reeling on the left. I think that's the way for most right-handers. But again, you can change this. So there's a little, gap in here. So you just put this in here, and all these 3 or 4 pieces, they stay at the bottom. So once you put this in here, then you just slide this up, and then it just fits right in there. I was just twisting this around till it fit into where the reel is, and then you can spin this up separately. There's a washer in here, and then you spin the other one up. So what I would do is I would tighten this first one. I would leave this all the way down. Now this is just me, okay? I'm just learning here. You can learn along with me or give me advice. I'm gonna be doing this for a long time, and someday maybe I'll be an expert. Right now, just learn with me or give me advice. That's like I said. Then this other one with the washer, then you spin this up, and this just, I think, helps lock into place so it's not going to come loose. All right, so that's all there is to that. Then you take this line, run it through these loops or eyelets, whatever you want to call them, and then you put your hook on and go fly fishing. There's way more to it than that. Let me just tell you one other thing to wrap up. I was out at Cheeseman Canyon, and then also at the San Miguel. So here at the Miramonte Reservoir, we're by Telluride. The San Miguel starts over near Telluride and runs out west. And we were out there, and I was talking to another outfitter, a fly fishing guide. But the first fly fishing guide I talked to there was 2 of them at Cheeseman Canyon. And, without getting into a whole lot, there's so much to this. And, depending, you're going to pick different flies, different times of the year, different times of the day. These flies, actually the real flies, the real insects, sometimes they're hatching on the bottom, and maybe they do it all the time. Again, I don't know that much. They're hatching on the bottom, and then they're going to float up, and over like a 3-hour period, they cycle through. This happens every day, like multiple times a day. And so sometimes those trout are feeding on these flies or whatever they are that are larvae, whatever. They're hatching on the bottom, they're floating up, then they get to the surface, and then when they're on the surface, then at some point they're going to fly off, and then they're going to or they crawl off or whatever they do, and they're going to be on the rocks. They're going to dry out. This is what I understand. That's whatever, and I'm sure there's lots of different insects that do different things, and then they're going to die, and then they're going to maybe be back on the surface of the water in their death. And so depending on what's happening with those insects during the day, you want to mimic it. This is what I've been learning so far, is you want to mimic what's going on. Color, what's the color? What type of insects are they? Are they small? Are they big? What stage in their process of their life are they? And sometimes in the summers, or if the water's warm, you want to be down deep or mid-level. And so there's so much to it, and I'm kind of thinking, do I really want to be fly fishing when it's so complicated and there's so much stuff? But to me, I think that's part of the interest for me, is that you're constantly doing stuff, and the way you fly fish, and you could throw it upstream. I think you throw it upstream, the fly will then come down, and then you want to flip the line so the fly is coming down before the line, so that you're presenting the fly to them and they don't see the line. And then sometimes it's on the surface, sometimes down low. Sometimes you're using not the bobber, you're using a flotation device, whatever it's called, and then your hook, or sometimes, I don't know if it's just one hook or maybe 2, and so they're going to be down low. There's just so much to learn. Don't get overwhelmed on this, because I'm not going to get overwhelmed. And this is one thing I've learned with my satellite communicators that I have for hiking emergency beacon, They're very complicated, some of them, and so instead of getting overwhelmed, just take one piece at a time and go learn. And if you want to know the hiking emergency beacon and you're a fly fisherman, I really highly recommend that you have a satellite communicator or satellite messenger on you, because when you're out and there's no cell service, you want to be able to call SOS or a two-way message, and or let family and friends know where you're at, or you want to see what the weather is, or you want to see, you know, your location or your tracks, how you got into a place. It's really good to have. So there'll be a link in the description below. I have both sites, Hiking Emergency Beacon, and then this one here is Mike and Rick Outdoors. Mike and Rick Outdoors, we are partners on that one, but I have Hiking Emergency Beacon by myself. So just a little side note there, I'd really get a satellite communicator to take out with you. But there's a lot to learn. I'm going to break all this down into a playlist, and you're going to be able to see everything that's going on. So the next 2 videos in the playlist, and I don't know that I'm going to actually do it out here, but the second video is going to be me starting to cast, learning how to cast based on the research I've found, or I've seen, and just practicing. Again, just teaching you and learning as I go. And if you're learning with me, again, leave comments. If you're experienced and you want to offer advice, I'd love to hear from you. Then the third video is going to be about tying these lines together, not just the lines together, but then tying the hooks. Now the knots with the hooks are different than tying the lines together. So we're going to run through all that. And I apologize that this first video is so long, but I will have it broken up by chapters so you can look at one thing or another. I will put a little tidbit, a little good thing here at the end. I'm going to have some drone shot of this lake. I was out early yesterday morning flying the drone around as the sun was rising, and it's just gorgeous out here. So I'm going to end on that note so you can see how pretty it is. I will also have some drone footage of the San Miguel River. I know that'll make it longer, but if you want to hang around for that or go jump right to it, then it'll be by chapter and you'll be able to see that. All right, that's it. I've said enough, but this is learning. This is fly fishing for beginners, all right? And I hope you stick with me, because this is going to be maybe a 20-year or so adventure as Mike and I travel around and fish. Sometimes I'm going to be out here in Colorado fishing by myself, but hang with me, learn with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and see how you learn and how you do. All right, there's a fisherman, couple guys taking off in a boat out here. Gonna do some fishing, but that's it for me today. All right, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted as soon as we put out new videos. And again, this is going to be a playlist, so watch for that and all the new videos that are going to be coming out. Appreciate you hanging with me today. Thanks for joining me with Mike and Rick Outdoors here in Colorado at the Miramonte Reservoir. And we will see you back out here soon in the next video.